Welcome everyone back to Aeos Clubhouse episode 22. This is Aeos Clubhouse recording for December 15th, 2021. I'm Kyle Ferguson, and I am joined via remote, even though they're always remote, but it still feels special. Mochrie, thank you for joining me.
Hello, I'm from a hotel. We have to have house repairs done right now, so we're in a new setting with a very finagled, jury-rigged setup, but I'm glad to be here. And also, hello, Kiyeberries.
Hello, yeah, you're super times 2 remote. You're remote from how you're normally remote. Extra remote.
Yeah, because I was saying that to Kyle. He's like, "Oh, thanks for joining us remote before the show," and I was like, "This is always remote. We've never been in the same room."
Satelliting.
Yeah, you have never been in the same room. Kyle and I have been in the same room. Like,
true.
Yeah, that was the we. Like, I guess I'm just. You know,
you gotta define which we you're talking about. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry that I'm not in your we, I guess. You know, I consider us a team, but I guess that makes one of us.
There's a Venn diagram of we's.
You're right. I'm sorry I see it a different way, I guess. But it's good to be back, friends.
We'll never agree. This is a really hectic week in Pokemon Unite. A ton of small things have happened. Some big things are happening. I'm just gonna dive right in. I think the thing we all noticed maybe was the menu update, or I guess the first thing you noticed was a little tiny Pikachu running on your load bar, and you're like, oh, this cute update, everybody.
Yeah, I love the psychological impact of this Pikachu that's just continually running in your load bar, because I remember as a kid sitting through those exceptionally long World of Warcraft load screens when we were getting actually 100 kilobytes a second to the house for download speeds, and you would sit there and be like, is the bar stuck? Is my screen frozen?
Wasn't it? I feel like it was Pokemon Yellow, maybe, that had the same load bar with the Pikachu running at the end of it. I feel like they've done this before. I feel like I've seen it before. I saw it and I was like, this is a throwback to something, but I can't remember what. Somebody in the comments will know exactly, but I've seen this before, Nintendo.
You know how long it's been since Yellow came out?
84 years.
I'm just barely older than Pokemon Yellow. It came out in 98. Came out September 12th.
I remember when it came out, and my brothers and I argued about who was gonna get the new Game Boy, because we got a yellow Game Boy with Pokemon Yellow, and who was gonna get it and who was gonna get to play it. And spoiler alert, it was not me.
Oh, wait, was Pokemon Yellow the one you had to shake to
No,
nurture?
I did have one of those though. They were almost like a little Tamagotchi, and it had a Pikachu, and you had to shake it to make it walk and stuff, and you had to feed it
like a pedometer.
I guess, but you didn't have to. Well, you could just shake it. It was more like a Tamagotchi. Did Tamagotchis? Have you ever seen a Tamagotchi?
Yes, I've seen a Tamagotchi.
Okay,
I never had one.
Imagine a Tamagotchi, but instead it's Pikachu.
Yeah,
I did have one of those.
Bulbapedia is showing me a Pokewalker. Is that what we're referring to right here, or do I have it mixed up?
I don't remember what it was actually called. I'm gonna Google it. Pokewalker.
It came out around that yellow time.
Pokewalker, I'm looking, came out in 2009.
No.
11 years.
No.
Yellow, so.
No, this is not it, because it was yellow also.
Pokemon
Tamagotchi Pikachu egg. Because it was vaguely egg shaped.
The episode.
It was vaguely egg shaped.
We're just going to be exploring the 90th page of Google 80 minutes into today's episode.
Well, that's the load screen, and then you get in. Actually, the game itself. So the menus are new inside the actual navigation, but probably the biggest thing you notice is when the game ends, and there's a brand new ending screen that has a nice little dramatic level of the points going in, and then goes into a breakdown and shows your whole crew in a bit more of a dynamic setup, and it's very nice.
Yeah, just everything looks so snazzy all the time. They've continually made UI updates to the game to the point where a little bit of skepticism in my mind is what if they had this all along? And and they were just like, no, release the bare bones version at the start, for the Nintendo Switch unofficial beta tests, and just drip feed out the UI until it's where it's supposed to be several months later. I almost wonder, is that what's going on here? Who
Okay,
knows?
I think that's some serious that's some Blizzard-based paranoia, I think is what I'm gonna call that. Because there is a sort of, patch cycle, make the news, put everything, tie it all together. That happens in other game studios so they can kind of get the big PC Gamer article. The game's been updated. Though it is a fascinating theory, and I do just like the way my profile goes whoop and blue and whoop and goes in and out. Now it's real nice.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this actually matters a lot. I really care about the UI in a game because, hey, if I'm going to be looking at it the whole time, I want the game to feel good to look at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the whole thing is so much smoother now, by the way. And I believe Kiyeberries has located the object of her search.
I did. It was the virtual pet Pokemon Pikachu, released in 1998. There it is.
Boom.
I had one of these.
Like a Tamagotchi. And you just left Pikachu somewhere starving in a corner.
I am 1998% sure I got it for Christmas at my grandparents' house and promptly left it at my grandparents' house.
No. I assumed this was I can guilt trip you about not taking care of your Tamagotchis as an adult.
No,
I didn't even make it as a child either.
I lose stuff all the time as an adult. As a child, that was gone. That's just gone.
There was no hope.
There was a sweet hack, if you will, to really getting the most out of your Digimon / Tamagotchi. And it was to save the little power plastic, and you could slide it back in and it would enter like a stasis mode because the battery was separated, but it would save your progress. So you know what I'm talking about, right?
That's next level. That's next level. Yeah, the little thin piece of plastic that you pull out to activate it.
Yeah. You've never pulled out the thing, Mochrie, for a plastic toy? Or
I don't know if it's because I'm young. I don't know, but I
was gonna say kids his age didn't have those little plastic toys. They had iPads and the internet.
No, hold on, you're giving me a little too little credit. All right, we had toys like that. I just don't remember dissecting them in this way. You guys are off doing your own thing, but
they're just a little piece of a little plastic tab that you would pull out to turn it on. To make it come alive, because it, like Kyle was saying, it separated the battery couldn't make contact because the little piece of plastic was there, so you pull out the little piece of plastic to turn it on.
Yeah, structurally it makes sense. I have no memory of this whatsoever, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Let's get to then the my big question and my big confusion, perhaps. So there is a whole snow theme going on. Do I select it?
I'm not going in there.
How do I? But it's okay. Standard battle, the themed map. Well, there's remote stadium, and then I can select remote stadium, snow and ice. Are those different, or is it?
There are a few small differences, most notably in the jungle camps. The side bosses are the exact same. Zapdos has been replaced by Articuno, who, to my understanding, functions the same. I didn't notice any differences, but I wasn't looking super hard. But I do know that in the most important effects of you take out the big boss in the middle, all enemy goals are disabled for a certain amount of time, and everybody in your team gets 15 points, that still functions the exact same. The key notable differences are in just the various jungle camps around, like I said. For example, the buff camps behave a little bit differently, as we don't have a Ludicolo anymore now this time. I can't remember off the top of my head what it got replaced with, but that's mainly the big differences. Honestly, even though there's a couple gameplay differences, it's mostly cosmetic, and you can play basically the exact same way you already did, and it's going to be pretty much the same.
Okay, so it's not just I'm selecting my skin like I would for Dota, and I'm playing the same game as everybody else. This is an actual different map with very slight different mechanics, and my queue might be slightly different.
Yeah, 100%. And in fact, in ranked mode, there's no option. You only play the snow and ice mode if you're in ranked. In standard, you get the choice between the two.
Oh,
but it is
okay.
different. It's not like in Dota. For those who are unfamiliar, Dota lets each individual player put a sort of skin over the map, so they're functionally the exact same. But one guy might be playing on a desert, one guy might be playing in like a snowy avalanche type setting, but you're all still in the same spacing and whatnot. The geography of the map is the same, but the creatures are a little different. So yeah.
And then there's Snowball Battle in Shiver City.
Everybody's favorite.
I actually had a really good
No.
time.
Wait, is it okay? Is it not just pumpkins?
It's
Tell me it's not just pumpkins.
So the big difference is that when you knock out a Pokemon, they turn into the snowman and are there until they revive. Not resurrect, revive. And that leads to a really chaotic back and forth that almost reminds me of old like StarCraft custom maps of kind of a Nexus Wars or tug of war is probably the best way to put it. So because you are going to revive right where you went down, the ground you've gained onto the enemy side is already gained in that sense. And then you drop all your Aeos energy. So it causes this really chaotic, like, oh man, oh no, what was the tag called where you sat down? Freeze tag. It's like freeze tag. Yeah.
I was going to say, man, I was like, that was not enough info for me to figure it out. I was just going to let you get that one.
There was also this badass tag that I played when you were younger. You had to do it on a basketball court and you could only run on the line. So you were like on a grid system, but that's a whole nother, and I need to know the name because, I got a kid now and I want to teach him that someday. Anyway, so it's
very, very Pac-Man-esque.
Yeah. So
almost.
It's freeze tag in that as they come back up, they've gained that ground in that zone. So you're kind of like manning and like keeping knowledge of where they're going to be when they come back up. And they might already be on top of your goals. So you're sort of defending aggressively in that area while someone's sneaking around for the turn in. And then they see you turning in. So they try to go back over there. You become a snowman. And now you're occupying that area. So it's this really chaotic, heavy battle system. Not unlike a brawl or anything like that, where it's always action. And the presents are completely forgotten about. The whole, like, you go get rid of Santa Bird, and he just drops the present, you pick it up, which is kind of like on a weird delay, so you like to have to hang out for your present. Nobody's getting presents. It's just all battle all the time.
You've sold me. I'm gonna try it. I was avoiding it because I'm still traumatized by pumpkin mode. So I was like, I'm not going in there. But you have sold me to at least give it a try.
Pumpkin mode was awful.
It was the worst thing ever in a video game.
Your session of knocking out 10 straight of them with the viewers and the listeners didn't change your mind at all, Kyle Ferguson?
No, that was a marathon. I'm very happy I've agreed. I'm happy I did it. I don't regret my time. But the end justified the means there. These means were actually so enjoyable that I forgot about the end, which is this whole Christmas event, and I wasn't getting presents. So I need to like go in there and actually focus.
Do we have to play the games of the Snowball one to like get event stuff, or how exactly does that work? Because I did see that there is a new event based on lighting up the tree, but I haven't logged in the last day to take a look at that.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about that?
The Illumination Challenge is going to go on for the next 32 days. So you got this tree that you're like building points for to get to the end. It's basically kind of a battle pass thing. Several of these goals are just playing games. Hey, I participated in 3 battles. Let me go ahead and grab that. Yeah. So I got 50 lights out of that. And so I'm gaining lights right now. And as I've gained more and more lights, I've started to get rewards. And check this out. I've gotten 100 lights over the course of completing 5 of these, actually. So turning Pokemon into snowmen, which is just knocking them out. So it wasn't hard to do. Participating in a snow battle, logging into the game, participating in 3 battles. And I've got myself for 100 lights. I now own Ninetales again.
I think that's one of those limited licenses
yeah.
based on the hourglass icon that I see. That's
right. So I get a temporary Ninetales. That's a nice theming, it's a snow theme. And the further I go up, I get a border, I get some socks, which actually, I'm wearing boots right now. You can't see them. But
Yeah, I just love that
Great
as
theming.
Kyle was like, I get these socks, and then he just previews them on his character. Totally can't see him. Just completely covered by his boots. Makes no difference.
But I know somewhere underneath those boots, I'm all the more cozy. Eventually,
Of course.
you earn the holiday hat, the red hat as it's listed here. And that'll be the end of the rewards. But it's a whole kind of, the tree system, which is just the exact same thing as a battle pass, move in a straight line, get enough points. And one of these...
As I'm looking through here, I see that there are daily missions that you were talking about, obtaining presents, using your special battle item, logging in, all that. But I'm also seeing a tab for challenge missions. What does that entail?
Okay, so we got log in a total of 10 days, and you get, what is a sticker? Oh, you get a tree sticker is what's going on there. Oh, so most of these...
Is it for your portrait, the sticker? What's the
Yes.
sticker? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like the
For
little
your picture on
pumpkin
the load
stickers.
screen.
Yeah. For a brief moment, I thought they introduced sprays. And I was like, oh, we're doing that, are we? But no, alas.
I mean, actually,
No, they mail you a sticker straight from Japan. To
No,
your
I
home.
thought like sprays, like
I know.
hats and league and all the other games have sprays. So I thought we had finally ascended to sprays, but no.
Yeah, when are we gonna get them? Come on, it's a
man.
money-making machine.
I want sprays. They're hilarious.
I love when games do weird stuff like mail you something. If you beat God of War on the hardest difficulty, it gave you a 1-800 number to call where Kratos would congratulate you.
Nice.
So you got actually the login a total of 10 days actually nets you 400 gold, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's so good because we have been talking about that on the show. That it seems like we just keep getting tickets and tickets and tickets, the blue tickets, the fashion tickets. And those are great and all, if you need your item enhancers, if you want to pick up some cosmetics, that's great. I personally have more than enough, and what I'm really looking for is that gold. And so the fact that we finally have an event that's giving us extra gold, so nice, so convenient for picking up more characters.
Lynn Coney in the live chat here is saying that as you get more lights, it adds lights to your screen?
Oh, to the background on your main screen?
Maybe. I don't know. I've only achieved so many lights.
Okay, I gotta get on this then.
That'd be interesting. Right. There's also some other stuff going on here. Most of these are just like advertisements, holiday items available, getting over to those skins like Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
And then a prompt to go over to the actual... So it looks like mine just hasn't loaded here. My menu's still basic. It seems to be broken. Many people will have a holiday-themed background for their login.
Yeah.
Why are you broken?
I don't know.
What I'm seeing here in the chat is that if you're one of those people that just leaves your game on all the time, it's just continually running, what you may want to do in order to get that new background that has the lights progressively filling in as you collect them in your main screen background, you're going to want to restart the game in its entirety, which is like from that Switch home screen, go to Unite, press X, and it's going to be like, do you want to close this software? And you do that, you reboot the whole thing, and then you should be able to see it according to what we're seeing in the chat here.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I want Christmas. I want Christmas in the
I'm
background.
looking at my phone to see if it looks different from the Switch, because I didn't have it either, but maybe...
Are we getting pranked?
You all have phones,
for the Halloween event, there was all sorts of, music and stuff. So I was very curious to see if that was...
The Halloween music was a banger.
Yeah, it was.
That was maybe the best part about the Halloween event.
It was getting down. It was getting real down. I enjoyed it immensely.
I think Unite so far hasn't really had a problem as far as music goes. The music is great. The variety has been a little lacking. It's always like, yo, we got this new event and check out this banger of a song that's playing. And you're like, yeah. And it's like, are you ready to hear this all the time, everywhere for the next 2 weeks? And it loses a little bit of its luster when you're just constantly around it.
It's true. Oh, okay.
And also, I routinely restart my Unite anyway, because then I found that helps me get better frame rate. And oh, look, there's a new screen.
Oh, yeah, you got some Aurora Borealis going on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got mine on my phone. Look, oh, it's so
Yeah.
cute.
My tree's
Yeah,
lighting up.
I guess you just needed a hard restart, like Mochrie said.
Very nice. Okay,
I
well,
like on the right side, you've got the wreath with the all creamy in it. Why are you there? He's just an ice cream cone in the middle of that wreath.
that's his name.
Yeah.
All creamy.
That's great. Okay. Oh, ooh. You guys can't hear it on.
Oh wait, all creamy is the big form though. The baby one is something else. But yeah, it's the ice cream cone, man.
Vanillite and Vanillux, is that what we're saying, or am I looking at
Maybe
something
they're
else here?
maybe they are. You're right. All creamy is the one that turns into a cake. I'm sorry.
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
the new music?
Yeah, it's getting down. It's about to repeat surely, but you know, that's nice.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You.
Where's it gonna go? What's the journey? Yeah.
Better get real used to this song.
Yeah. All right. Very true. Very true. If anyone listens to this episode about 5 days from now, they're gonna be like, please stop the madness. I've
gotten enough of this in game.
I'm done. Nah, it's a great little event. I really enjoy the mix up on the usual progression bar, and you know, there's lots of free rewards. Something completely off from this sort of zone. Did anyone else get a copy of Zeraora this week?
I don't think I did.
No.
No? What's going on there, Kyle?
My game was like, hey, congrats on completing the Zeraora challenge. And I was like, you mean the one I did like week 2 of the game being out? And I was like, yeah.
I was about to say, it was like, well,
look at my
gold.
gold.
The one right after mobile release, it was like win 32 games and get a Zeraora.
Yeah.
But you must have completed that forever ago. That was so long ago. So I don't know what it could have been otherwise.
Well, it gave me 8,000 gold for doing it again because it was like, hey, you already own me. And not Zeraora. Yeah, it was Zeraora. Yeah.
Good problem to have, I guess.
Weird.
Cool.
Very cool. All right, let's move into a bit of the news proper here as we get into the week. I certainly want to hear what you guys have been up to, but before we do that, it's time to talk about Patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. We want to thank everybody who's already signed up over at Patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse to support this show. This week, we'd like to thank Will Stutz for joining us on the Patreon. You all have no idea how helpful this is in making this content and making sure we get all of this broken down for you each week, prepared, ready to the various outlets, the many podcast feeds, the YouTubes. You all are making that possible over at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. And we want to thank you and encourage all who are curious or enjoy this show to head on over to patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse.
We'd love to see you there.
The bug was fixed that we didn't know about last week and then was removed swiftly.
Okay, yeah, just jumping right into it. What's up, Kai?
I didn't even get to see it in real life. It was gone so fast.
Real life, right. Just like I'm finally remote for doing this from a hotel, and just like in real life in the video game.
Right, in real life in the video. I read about it on Reddit, but I never actually saw it in practice. Like it was gone so quickly.
Yeah, so for the uninformed, the unaware, there was a bug specifically with Cramorant that came up in between recordings of the show, where Cramorant was able to extend the invulnerability that you receive while turning in forever. So if you did a couple little tricks together, you had a very small amount of points, and you activated a goal-getter battle item, and you started turning in your points, and then interrupted it through a sort of hard to explain combination of your abilities. But if you interrupted your own turn in it just the right way with just a short enough turn in, you just had that turn in invulnerability for the rest of the match until you scored more points. So from that point on, you could just walk around with total invulnerability, not worried about anything, can't be stunned, can't be damaged, and just doing your own thing so long as you managed not to turn in. And of course, this was so incredibly game breaking that they just hopped on it right away. And this got fixed basically, I think within like 24 hours of being discovered, right?
Yeah, it was really fast. I thought it was like same day or close to.
Yeah, and so what I thought was so interesting about this when I saw that this was being discovered was that the first mention I ever saw of this bug, and I think maybe why it was discovered, was because someone on Twitter was talking about how a bot Cramorant had actually done this to them. Like they're just pulling up and they're trying to play a versus AI match, usually relatively smooth sailing compared to playing against real people. But the invincible Cramorant bot just absolutely rampaged through their team. And I can't help but wonder if bot Cramorant actually discovered this bug for us, which people immediately got to replicating and got to spreading all over the place. The YouTube videos came up very, very quickly about how to reproduce it. And then just as quickly as it had popped up, the company just completely squashed it right after. It was very quick work. And so looking at this right here, one thing I did also notice is that the Japanese Twitter account for Pokemon Unite actually posted about this bug being fixed 13 hours before the English version of the Unite Twitter account actually posted anything about it. So if you don't follow the Japanese Twitter account or talk to anybody who does, then that information just wasn't present to us for a good 13 hours. So as a result of that, I highly recommend for those of you out there that really want to just be like on it when it comes to news about Unite, either follow the Japanese Twitter account or join our Discord, where we have people like one of our users, one of our listeners, Mr. Chia, consistently will translate and post things from the Japanese side of it, where that information comes out a little sooner. And then you're just more up to date on what's going on in the game, and you get a little bit of a heads up than if you were just strictly following the English accounts. Really good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Chia.
He is a good egg.
That's interesting. I wonder if their localization team isn't in Japan?
I mean, I think it's just they waited until their people that run their English accounts were in the office, because I doubt they were in the office in the middle of the night.
That's true.
I doubt they were working. They're probably just sleeping. I don't know.
Either way, that's a really quick turnaround. That's really cool and gives me hope that the code is good. Because as you mentioned with like the UI updates and kind of seeing this game evolve and change, at least in the menu structure, that's just so great for these themings and these future updates that can then come in and actually, affect the game. I know the maps have not changed drastically. Perhaps this like 2 versions of the map is a good show of things to come in that direction. Because they can honestly run a PTR, as it were, like in the game.
Yeah. And we had said in the past that we were really hopeful about their ability to like easily swap out some of the NPC Pokemon. And I think we even talked about changing around the legendary birds. Like they don't really have to fundamentally change what Middle Boss does, but just to spice things up, maybe it doesn't always have to be Zapdos. And look, they did.
Yeah, that's true.
So apparently that is as easy and doable as we thought it was. That's a good thing.
That's great.
Or maybe it was really hard.
Yeah, maybe like a bunch of people worked day and night for weeks to change Zapdos into Articuno.
Right. I know this isn't how it works, but this mental image in my head of like the dev fixing Cramorant bug and like being there, and then it's like, oh my goodness, I did it, and turns, and types on Twitter, I did it, you guys, and then hits enter on that account. No way those are the same people. That's not how it works, but I love the mental image.
Absolutely wonderful.
And he's like, oh, I already hit send. Oh, okay, I'll wait for the localization team to come in and actually post it on the English.
I've got the image of a guy. He's wearing like a work uniform. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's like covered in grease. He's got like a wrench that he's just like smacking something with.
Yeah.
That's how he's in there fixing the code, right? He looks like Mario, basically, like an old-timey train conductor.
Yeah.
Guts deep in a server somewhere.
Yeah, they're out there punching holes in the punch cards to change the code. That's exactly how it works.
Absolutely,
Me,
yes.
I have a degree in computer science. This is how we do it these days.
I believe. I believe.
I think it's funny, Kyle, that you mention having a developer who works on the changes and then posts to social media about those same changes. Because earlier you mentioned Blizz-induced paranoia, Blizzard player-induced paranoia. And that's kind of the situation we have in Heroes of the Storm, where we have the developers that kind of have to take up, the mantle of the social media side of Heroes of the Storm at the same time. So maybe that's why it doesn't seem so ridiculous to you, is because we come directly from a game where the social media guys are the developers at the same time, and they do their best in Heroes of the Storm.
It's true. That's been an interesting, just dynamic of gaming in general, how a lot of stars develop because someone's willing to step forward. Like, I think of Ben Brode from the Hearthstone team. Designer, lead design, production lead and all that sort of thing. I'm not sure of his formal title when he was there. Now he's off doing second dinner, a different program.
Fantastic singer also.
Yeah.
You can't mention Ben Brode and not mention.
Well, and his grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, the man is famous for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But
the man was a real star.
Yeah, but he took it upon himself to push himself out there and become the face of that game. And it was really, really healthy for it. We don't see that with a lot of products. Of course, Final Fantasy Yoshi P is one of the big ones too. That's kind of floating around the internet sphere right now in terms of video game developer celebrity.
And I remember Jeff Kaplan was kind of, as far as Overwatch goes, he was like his own little celebrity in that space as well. And he definitely had like readings of the situation as far as the memes and social media went. Because I remember, for example, you had that one guy that edited together all of Jeff Kaplan's sayings into just like complete meme phrases and all that, just rearranging all his words, cutting them all up together. And he was like, I really want to make funny videos where Jeff Kaplan talks about Torbjorn, but he hasn't said Torbjorn in any of these videos. And so the guy talks about that and he's like, yeah, I don't have any good footage of Jeff Kaplan saying the word Torbjorn, one of the characters from Overwatch, so I can't make edits of that. And so he says that. Next video comes out from Jeff Kaplan, he says Torbjorn 3 different times in that same video. And there's no direct acknowledgement that he was there knowingly feeding the meme machine, but it seems a little too perfect to be a coincidence. So they definitely got some people at Blizzard that in addition to what they already do, just seemingly know how to play the social media game alongside it. It's interesting.
This would have been prime Cap Daddy season, because he would do his holiday Yule log video where he just sat in front of a fireplace, remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. It's a loop. That's what we'd always say. It's a loop. He's not really there.
Or is he?
Would they put up a teleprompter for him so he could watch a movie? I know it looped, but like he was there for at least maybe 10 minutes, chilling.
Yeah, I remember I was actually watching some streamers watch about that, where a streamer known for relaxing in hot tubs as they do their Twitch streams was talking about how, she's sitting there kind of just chilling, talking to chat a little bit, and she's like, oh yeah, no, that whole time that I'm there on stream, I've got like Netflix going and you guys just can't hear it. I've got my music, like I'm just chilling. To you guys, it looks like I'm just sitting here chilling, but no, I'm watching a movie. I'm keeping up with my shows. It's multitasking.
Yeah, putting in the hours. That's a lot of hours. I think it's interesting that we have here a competitive game that doesn't really have that figurehead. And one I think of that is like a superhero-fied, or has an alias, as Ice Frog from Dota. Somebody who has balanced the game and does not want to be known as that person. And then on the flip side, you got people like AZ Jackson from the Heroes team, who was a Grandmasters player, who advertised themselves as having that knowledge and is updating based on that sort of experience. So we don't really know the team or the people who are doing these updates either. Nor do we, call them a special heroic name like, the Aeos scientist, or what's the name of the sad lady? We met some people when we first got on the island. They haven't come up yet. They haven't expanded the lore.
Yeah, that was so long ago. They were just like, hey, here's our names. You're never going to see us again. Goodbye. That was it. So I don't blame you for not knowing. I have no idea either.
We had to have a tree themed professor, right? Some plant named. It can't. Is it even legal to have a Pokemon game that doesn't have a plant named professor? There's got to
I
be.
don't think so. We see
That's
Professor Forrest is what I'm seeing here. Phorus, and researcher Irby, the dude with the headphones on at the same time. So Professor Forrest and researcher Irby.
so a forest tree is a type of tree. I googled it because I'm like, that has to be a plant. It's got to be, and it is.
Is this true?
Of course. I'm seeing.
It's a.
Sure.
It's a.
Wait, but all Pokemon scientists are named after trees in all the games?
Yeah. Professor Oak,
Yeah,
Professor
Oak.
Elm, Professor. They're all plants.
Kyle, there's no way you're just noticing this.
No, I've never thought about it.
Kyle, in your 50 years on this planet, you've never noticed.
I've never. No.
They're all trees.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm getting. Here's a short list: Professor Oak, Professor Elm, Professor Ivy, Professor Birch, Professor Rowan, Professor Jupiter, Sycamore, Magnolia,
Jupiter tree?
Juniper.
Oh, juniper. I'm so sorry.
Like with the berries. With the berries, right? Willow, Magnolia. This one that I can't pronounce that starts with a K, the one from Sun and Moon, but is also a type of tree. They're all trees.
Yeah, and that's not even subtle either. Like, there's not even some wordplay. Like, it's just birch. Like, that's just a whole tree.
I
love it.
never. Well, speaking of plants, Tsareena's out, and I'm great, and others aren't. That is my declaration.
Masterfully executed segue.
You're so welcome for that. I am so confused. I'm winning. I really enjoy Tzareena. I think it had a great, free release, which was very, very enjoyable. I can queue to the left particularly fast and access it before most, thanks to an updated phone as well. So,
well, Kyle, you don't have to play the game of having to quickly scroll to the character you want, right? There's a way to pre-hover the exact character you want now.
Yeah.
What?
They changed it.
What?
So remember very early in the game where everyone would ask us what favoriting a Pokemon did, and we'd all laugh, haha, and say it does nothing. Well, now it does. Now the Pokemon that you have favorited is what you hover when you load into a game.
No, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, they changed like last week, right?
That is
like last week, like Thursday or Friday. It's since our last show.
You get to nearly guarantee that you're securing what you want to pick, because you can just change your favorite willy-nilly. I see Kyle just speed running the stages of grief at the moment in his camera.
The saddest part about it is that means my main was Gengar, and I didn't even notice because I haven't played him in so long. I love that guy.
No.
I talked about how much that character got me into this game, and literally like in the bin in my brain, like I don't play with you anymore. We're gonna drop Woody in the trash. The cards break. Like the fact that was there on the initial selection screen and I didn't notice is so sad. Like pushing him out of the way to reach for Buzz, just tragic. Okay, well that's great. That's great. Well, I only once lost the contest, and that was my first game of the week. I was really concerned the character looked really underpowered. And then I got in, and it's a little bit of like, Street Fighter versus your older sibling. Like, just hit the buttons as much as you can and hope for the best.
Yeah, Serena, her abilities are just up so often with all of your ability resets that you have within your kit that you get just from attacking. Literally just basic attacking gives you ability resets, and using abilities gives you ability resets. So I just love the way this character feels. Like I feel like I say this about every character. I'm generally pretty easy to please as far as character design goes, but I also legitimate credit to Pokemon Unite. The character designs just are really good as far as the kits go. And Serena just has this lovely feeling of just being the most like Dragon Ball Z fighter type, just running in there, just or just getting a very bruisery type situation in on you, and just running straight in, knowing that you're just gonna go in and hit until somebody gets knocked out. That to me is really, really fun, and it's implemented in a really cool way right here with Tzareena.
Kiyeberries, did you enjoy the Serena?
I haven't actually played her yet. I'm watching on my other
Wow.
monitor your game. I'm sorry. I'm watching your gameplay of her. So since I haven't played her yet, and I didn't, in the couple games I did get to play, I didn't actually see anybody playing her. So I hadn't seen her tiny little radish, whatever that is.
Yeah,
What did we say she was? A radish, an onion, a beet? I don't know, but she's a little bouncy ball.
yeah, she's got little tiny feet under there before she gets kind of in the root boots later on. But it's a cute little bounce. It's got some energy to it. She hits the ground pretty weak. I've found like the personal experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mochrie, but when I go in the jungle, I'm like, oh, this little pup's getting away. this throughput is not hot at the start.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the brawling at the very start feels a little weak. And, I feel like it matches the character design, as you are just this little bumbling, hopping radish, like Kai said, or whatever creature or plant
Vegetable.
that this is. Yeah, but it definitely, that feeling fades very quickly as you grow and evolve.
I will say, though, for how little Tzareena I've seen in the wild, I've seen so many memes of this character stepping on people. Just Reddit is alive with Tzareena memes stepping on everyone. That I guess I have a strong, now I've built up the character in my head. I expect her to be really, really powerful and really dominant, because that is what the memes have sold me on.
Honestly,
so I'm gonna be really disappointed if she's weak, especially in her final form, because I've seen some things. Okay.
I don't think that's that much of an inaccurate assessment based on what I've seen. You really run in there and just sort of throw your weight around. So I'd say that's fairly accurate. Like I said, I don't think DBZ Fighter, like I mentioned earlier, was an exaggeration. Your ult, where you bring someone up in the air and you punch him a bunch of times, it's very Dragon Ball Z. It's very limit break, like hopping up in midair, 20 feet in the air, just punching you over and over again. There's definitely an element of strength, power, and dominance that plays into it for sure.
Yeah, and it gets very personal because it's got one target. And Machamp's a little different almost, because it's almost like a CC kind of thing. And yeah, it does damage and he's in your face and then he's zooming around. But often he rides that knockout into another bit of the team fight. Tzareena I felt cruel with, because there was one character on the enemy side that I just used the same move on every single time. I was constantly winning small little 1v1s, and because of the sort of shielding and healing that you're doing on yourself, if you're hitting all these people over and over again, you're often lasting to the end of the fight. Then it comes down to a 1v1 where almost that healing, I might be wrong about this, but the healing seems weaker because you're not hitting multiple enemies. And now you have this amazing Unite move to just say, I win 1v1s.
Yeah, dude, there's, people talk a lot about the sort of objective strategy side of MOBAs, but the psychological side is also very important. And if you just walk up and pick out one guy and just keep ulting that one guy over and over again, you start to put some fear in them, some expectation. They know what's coming. And so I can totally see how you would have that feeling right here with Sereena's ult, picking out that one guy, being like, hey, Eldegoss, you and me. And you do that like
I thought it was Eldegoss.
It's, Eldegoss players, they know what they signed up for, okay? Everybody else, You got dragons, you got dudes with 4 arms, you got walking radishes that stomp on people, and you choose the cotton ball? Like, you just know you're gonna get bullied, you know? And I say this fully as someone that plays a lot of Eldegoss. It is everyone else's world, and you are living in it when you play that character. But there's a fun aspect to it. It's a bit of a game of cat and mouse, almost. And you can definitely live that out as Tzareena, bullying any Eldegosses that you see with that ult. Absolutely wonderful.
When I spoke of the button mashing, I'm of course speaking of Queenly Majesty. This was the trait that Tzareena only has. So you evolve through the Bonsuite and the Steenie to get to Serena, and then your trait changes. When a hit, not the hindrance part, let's see. After using a combination of 3 boosted basic attacks or moves, the next boosted basic attack or move will apply Queenly Majesty buff effect to the Pokemon. Wait, hang on. Wait, where are the resets coming from? Where did I get this?
So-
Where did you get this?
You get resets on your abilities periodically whenever you use a basic attack or every like 3rd or 4th ability. So you just get them like insanely quickly. Like if you're just in there attacking as often as possible, you will nearly be button mashing. I think that, you know, you can perform at a lot of your effectiveness literally by just going in and just pressing everything when it's up. And so it does feel like a very button mashy character, but also I do think it's very rewarding to like specifically pick out the correct ability for the given time. Out of you know the 2 possible choices that you have for abilities. But yeah, no, when you actually play it out and get into fights, you effectively have your abilities up just ridiculously fast and often, provided you have the ability to auto attack a lot and keep people in your melee range.
Do you know why I would sometimes stomp twice, or was that me just button mashing so fast that there was another stomp ready?
So it's totally possible that you, just off the top of my head, there may be something specific with Queenly Majesty that I might need to look at. No, Queenly Majesty just increases the, or just gives it HP regen when you stomp someone. What you were likely doing was you were stomping, and then that was triggering your Queenly Majesty CDR reset on everything and giving you a second stomp. Because like I said, every couple abilities that you use, every basic or boosted basic attack that you use is giving you resets. So if it's like every 3 abilities, which I'm not sure if it is off the top of my head, but if it's like every 3 abilities and that 3rd ability is stomp, then you're going to stomp, get your cooldown resets, and then have another stomp. You see what I'm saying there? So
okay, so we got some hidden text here, and thanks to the unitedb.com, we have access to all that hidden text. So these enhanced moves are unaffected by cooldowns. So it's not so much that you're getting a cooldown reduction on your next ability, it's that the move you are doing while glowing isn't affected by the cooldown. Because there's this moment where your ability,
free cast.
Yeah, and they turn green, and it's kind of confusing because they're both green, and I go, wait, what? Which one's what? But that's just because I don't know the character so well after just a few days. But so that is tied to Queenly Majesty, in addition to the 3 boosted attacks apply the Queenly Majesty buff, enhancing the moves. So there we go. Did you see a exact build kind of develop, or a choice and combination between the triple axle and the stomp?
Sure. So one thing that I saw in particular used that I kind of like is the combination of triple axle and grassy glide, which is the dash abilities that you have. Because when you have Stomp, yes, Stomp does a lot of damage, and with the Queenly Majesty gives you some self-healing, that's really good. But really, what you want in order to just facilitate being able to auto-attack all the time and continually get your abilities back, I feel, is that mobility. So the ability to pick 2 different mobility abilities and just continually stay with people and prevent them from being able to just kite you around and prevent you from getting that also enabling string of attacks that you can get off is just to go those 2 dashes, like I said. So you have triple axle, you have grassy glide, you're able to stay on top of people, continually keep attacking them, and just continue this positive feedback loop of, oh, I'm getting more attacks off, I'm getting more abilities, which give me more abilities, which give me more abilities, and I can just chase you forever. That's as far as it goes for the abilities that I've been seeing and liking myself. I saw Kid Tans on Twitch, who I've talked about before, getting some build ideas from him, and that was what he recommended as well. But as far as the actual held items go, that's what I find really interesting on Tzareena, is just what are you using as far as held items go? Because there's so many good choices for this character. You got Muscle Band, which is amazing on anybody that's going to attack a lot. You got Razor Claw, which that slow that melee characters get means it's easier to stay on top of people and keep attacking them. You got Weakness Policy, which is amazing for any character that scales off of attack and has the ability to take a lot of damage without getting knocked out, to use all of that attack that you get whenever you take damage. So Muscle Band, Weakness Policy, Razor Claw, Buddy Barrier, of course, insane on almost any character that doesn't get their ult super late in the game. And one more, that when you're going in super aggro and you just want to stay on top of the enemy team for a long time and just keep being aggro, Focus Band. That extra healing gonna help you win a lot of duels, gonna help you continue to chain out those ability chains and those attack chains. I'm having a really hard time just narrowing down to 3 exact items that I want in this character, because Tzareena just uses so many so effectively. But there's a lot of good options there.
Okay. All right. So I'm
Sorry if I just like threw everything at you all at once.
Yeah, no. I want to go back in time for a quick moment. So you were mentioning the abilities there for Tzareena. So why? So they're not the same, but they are and can be similar. So let me.
Yeah, I want to go back to the world where you were saying this was a DBZ button mashing character. Like this went from button mashing stomper to complex real quick.
I mean, I don't know. Effectively, you hit a lot. You like the items that are good on people who hit a lot. That's the very straightforward way to put it. You know. What else? What do we want to look at in particular?
Well, so you mentioned triple axle over stomp, maybe just because, and so you were talking about like just hitting as many people as possible all the time. So triple axle being your spinny attack, 3 attacks rather than the stomp, which is more of an AoE, which looks to be about a very similar area. Triple axle is just going to hit more people more times and therefore has become the preferred.
Well, and also there's an element of mobility to it as well.
Okay.
In addition to hitting everything, Stomp doesn't exactly help you get around. And again, what you really love to do as a melee attacker is be able to stay on top of people so you can keep hitting them. If you just get kited, then you're not really doing anything. So if you have an ability that helps you avoid that, that's just oh so helpful. So that's why with Triple Axle Grassy Glade, you have 2 different dashes. Those are both mobility abilities that enable you to stick with the enemy team.
So Grassy Glide is the one where it's not a stun, but you do a knockback if you pass through them. And that feels really good.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Cerebi page right now for Tzareena, and I'm seeing the Grassy Glide. It deals damage and it slows when you go through someone. And then you can slide back again. There's 2 parts of Grassy Glide. You could slide through and slide back again. And that subsequent slide does the same thing. It'll slow again.
Okay. But that, yeah, it's got like a bit of control to it. So Trop Kick is the one where you dive enemies, make contact with received damage, and have their movement speed decreased. So that makes sense. Okay. So it's also just like a lot of momentum and chaos. Not that anyone's aiming auto attacks, but certainly, it's not like they can't click on you, but aiming skill shots, certainly, as you're triple axling about and then moving wildly with Grassy Glide, you've got quite a bit going on. So let's talk about the items then you mentioned, because on release, we talked about Weakness Policy, but we haven't gotten to that in a long while.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So this is, upon taking damage, apply a % attack buff for up to 4 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. The duration can be refreshed before it expires. Okay, so you're healing yourself. You're taking some damage because you're in it and you're spinning around and all sorts of like splashes are hitting you. But because you sustain so long in fights, Weakness Policy is having a big effect here.
Absolutely. Getting a bonus attack every single time you take damage, that's not really going to be that useful on a character that doesn't want to take a lot of damage in the first place and doesn't have HP to take a lot of damage. You're not going to get much mileage out of Cinderace using a Weakness Policy, just as an example. But if you're a character that can expect to take some damage and return it, which is very often the case on melee characters because they're going to be right up in there, so they're going to take some damage. Unlike a Cinderace who might be sitting at max range, not even necessarily taking damage in the first place and trying to game plan around not taking damage. But if you're one of those Lucarios, one of those Serenas who's up in there, you've got a little bit of beefiness to you and you are here to hit people, then weakness policy tends to be really good on that style of character, on the Machamps, on the Lucarios, on the Serenas. A bit of brawn and some attack scaling right there. So that is definitely a pretty good choice for Tzareena.
Okay. And then chat's bringing up that Grassy Glide, the ability we just talked about with the sort of go back and kick again. That's cancelable, which I found useful alongside Stomp. But, sounds like we're moving away from Stomp just because of the number of hits and the mobility that Triple Axle supplies.
Okay.
And then you threw in another item there real quick. Was it Razor Claw? Was that the new kid in town?
Yes. Razor Claw was one of those new items that we didn't have on release. I believe came out the same time as Weakness Policy. And Razor Claw is just anytime you use an ability, your next basic attack is going to have extra damage. And if you are a melee character, then the bonus will also have a slow on it. So anytime you use an ability, your next basic attack will slow if you're a melee character and will deal extra damage. And so, of course, this is going to be good if you can trigger the effect very often. And so who else can trigger the effect as often as a character that gets a bunch of resets on their abilities and just gets a bunch of different activations of their abilities? You get 2 different casts of Grassy Glide. You get all these resets all the time, and the slow is going to make it easier to stay on top of your enemies, to keep attacking them. And so that way, it's like I said before, it's just this nice positive feedback loop where the more you hit enemies, the more you slow them, which enables you to hit them more, which enables you to slow them more, and continually feed into just that constant attack and ability spam that Tzareena loves to do.
Okay. What about Tzareena Master here, King Kong, who's running? Actually, weakness policy is actually on the recommended from the bots.
Okay, don't trust the recommended.
Don't look at that. Yeah, look away, avert your eyes.
So anytime there's a character and I want to know what to build, I completely ignore those first 2 recommendeds that are just from the game company, and I'm like, no, let me see what the top players are building.
So we got an attack weight here that is recommended by King Kong, but you were mentioning in our notes here that you really like the muscle band.
Yeah, muscle band is just it's purely all about basic attacking. It increases the speed at which you put out your attacks. That's its secondary bonus. And its primary bonus is that whenever you hit someone, you deal damage equal to a percentage of their remaining health. So you just it just helps you shred, especially on tanks, and gives you a lot of extra on-hit damage whenever you're attacking a lot. So if you're like a Decidueye, a Cinderace, or even anyone that just attacks often, Eldegoss players often run Muscle Band, for example.
I do.
Yeah, it gives you some pressure in the lane phase. Anybody that's going to be hitting a lot generally wants a Muscle Band, so it doesn't surprise me to see one of the Tzareena Masters running it right there as well.
So why would King Kong run a attack weight rather than a muscle band? It looks like attack weight gives, it scales up, of course, but it has a sort of bonus attack level. It gives 18 attack, but in addition to that, gives 12 attack when you score a goal. Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're running with its score shield. So they're saying, yes, I will surpass muscle band because I will score so much thanks to this, and that is why I've comboed those 2 items together. I got it.
Yep. And so the general idea is just attack weight scales off of turn-ins, score shield facilitates getting turn-ins. You're going to get a lot of attack that way. And that's not only going to buff your basic attacks, but it's also going to buff your ability usage at the same time. I saw somebody else in there, also one of the other masters was running a scope lens. And that makes a lot of sense to me too, because scope lens buffs your criticals. It makes you crit more often, and it makes you crit harder. And of course, although most abilities in Unite can't crit, everybody's basic attacks can crit. So if Serena's going to be basic attacking a lot, and those can all crit, then to me it makes sense to be able to boost that with scope lens right there. So I honestly, as I'm looking through this and I'm just considering the different items, I think that you could reasonably make an argument for like 7 or 8 different held items to run on Tzareena right now. Like there is a lot of really good stuff for her.
Interesting. She's really fun. The lack of optimization I'm feeling is making me want to play her more, but at the same time being like, maybe I need to step back. I'm really enjoying her. Kiyeberries, has this sold you at all in checking out Tzareena?
And now I have mixed feelings because at first I was like, hell yeah, stomp, let's go. Now I'm concerned it's going to be too complex. I have a small, smooth brain, right? I'm like, will this be too much for
Don't let
my
this
very
scare you away.
tiny brain? I don't know. I gotta try it though later today.
I'm not to cut you off. I am just talking strictly about, oh, here's all the different possible approaches we could take. Here's all the different stuff that could be good. And there is a lot that you can think about as far as optimizing your ability rotation and different, ways to experiment with your items. But like I was saying before, you can literally just go in, pick 3 out of those like 7 items that are good on this character. Just pick like any 3 of them and just go in and button mash. And honestly, I still think that you'll have a great time. So I would not worry too much about it. I think there's a very high skill ceiling, and there's a lot of experimentation to do, a lot to think about. But I also think the skill floor is not that high either. I think that even if you're just kind of going in and just just mashing your abilities, I still think it's going to be a really good time. So please don't let me scare you away from this.
I'll jump in there and try some button mashing because like with recent Pokemon, like Greedent was too much. Like Greedent, my brain is too small for the squirrel. Can't do that. But then I do really like Decidueye. So we'll see how we feel about Stompy Onion Legs.
Alrighty. I had a blast for what it's worth.
Speaking of which, has anyone seen a Decidueye?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit that usually if there's a Decidueye in my game, I'm usually the one playing it, to be honest.
Same. And I've regretted it a few times because I think I'm going to have like a tank and a front line and a functional team comp, and then I don't. And I'm like, well, this was a mistake. That's a Lucario and a Zeraora.
If you don't strictly have like a Blissey and a tank taking care of you in team fights, then Zeraora is going to be all up in your business, just making sure you have a poor time. Serena's going to be ulting you, all that good stuff. So definitely with the extremely fast time to kill that this game has and the limited vision, you could feel really bad about a Decidueye pick extremely quickly. So I feel that for sure.
Same with like the enemy team too, because sometimes they just have so much dive that even if you have one really kind-hearted tank, there's just only so much that they can juggle. Having a draft where you know that the enemy team is like stacked with dive, maybe don't be an owl this game. He's definitely a character that would benefit from a draft mode. That is for sure.
Yeah, you could just be like late picking and be like, oh, they don't have any dive, like, oh, okay, fine, then I'll just pick this and I'll be safe.
It may have been all the snowball mode I played, but I saw a lot of Gardevoir this week. I know in those modes you level up faster, so it's really, really fun to play Gardevoir. But
Gardevoir got buffed. Aren't you aware? So Gardevoir's early game actually goes a lot better now. Let me see if I can pull up these specific changes for you. And among them, so Gardevoir now evolves 1 level earlier, both times.
Oh.
So you evolve from Ralts into Kirlia. That used to happen at level 6, believe it or not. You spent 5 levels as a Ralts, which is insane to me. You now only spend the first 4 levels of the game as a Ralts, and you turn into Kirlia at level 5. And similarly, you used to evolve at 10 into Gardevoir. You now evolve at 9 into Gardevoir. And you learn all of your moves 1 level earlier as well. So all of your moves come in a level earlier, and your ult, your evolutions come in 1 level earlier. I believe that was the only change that was made, but honestly, it goes an extremely long way towards making the early game not nearly as terrible for this character, or at least the mid game, I would say, because for the first 4 levels, there's no change, right? Like nothing has changed. But once you start to hit 5 and beyond, that's where you start to feel getting everything 1 level earlier, and then that really starts to impact the Gardevoir and make it just feel so much better.
Interesting. Ah, cool. Mamoswine got touched up in this. Same deal. Reduction of when you evolve. So instead of 6 and 10, you got 5 and 9, and levels and abilities are learned easier. So a little bit of touch up going on when it comes to some of the progression. Same way now. Snorlax got the same thing. It was kind of their fad for this particular patch.
Yeah, I'm just looking through. I see Garchomp evolves 1 level earlier, Mamoswine evolves 1 level earlier, Snorlax, like you said. And I believe that's all as far as evolution changes from the most recent patch.
I'm excited for Mamoswine. I think I'm the only person to have ever said this, but I didn't really enjoy the early game on Mamoswine and always felt really good when he became like a big pig. I've heard a lot of people say that his early game is great and they feel fine as Sweenub and Pillow-Swine. And I'm always like, no, I want to be large. So I'm excited to be large earlier.
Well, nice. Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely felt the pressure. I remember the very first time Mamoswine came out, and I would go to lane up against that Swinub and just be like, oh, whoa, how are you doing this much damage this early? And so I would love to see more. I love kind of shaking up the tank meta a little bit right here. I'm hoping to see more Gardevoir, not a tank, but I love to see more Gardevoir and more Mamoswine for sure.
So they did not put out a tweet that they ran a balance update. In combination to all the Christmas flashing lights, I completely missed this. So there was also a Greninja nerf. Actually, his cooldown got increased, but lots of bug fixes there. Lucario getting some base damage reduction.
Yeah, let's just go through the whole list, right? You know,
Yeah.
we've gone through patches before, just kind of saying this character got better, this one's worse, this one's better. You want to do that right here?
Yeah, no, let's make it happen because we're looking at a Lucario that's weaker, actually, which is an interesting update. Steadfast shield value decreased on top of that. You got Greedent's Covet cooldown upped by 2 seconds, and the buff duration lowered by 1 second. So this is this is really attacking the things people have been talking about. I wonder why it was on the lowdown. Why it was stealthy.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be like, hey, we nerfed all that stuff you're complaining about and buffed all that stuff you're complaining about being too weak. So that makes a lot of sense.
We got to talk about new holiday skins is more important.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree because the Crustle one is like really good, but.
With the little mittens, the little Christmas mittens.
Yeah.
So I'm looking in here. One thing that's really interesting, you know, this feels almost like a rip to Backdoor Crustle, which we spent a lot of time talking about very early on in the show. But Crustle's Stealth Rock can't crit anymore as of 6 days ago. So 1 day after our last episode, Stealth Patch, they took away Stealth Rock's ability to crit for Crustle. Feels bad, man. Maybe no more scope lens on that character?
I'm telling you, you in particular, get out of the jungle as Crustle. Directly directed at Mochrie TV.
I am so sorry. But as I look at this, I definitely think Scope Lens seems no longer viable on Crustle, so you're gonna have to pick out a new item there. Greninja, I'm just seeing nerfs on Greninja. I'm looking at Lucario, we got some nerfs, lower damage on Power Up Punch, lower shield from Steadfast. Greedent, way less uptime on Covets, they're not going to be sprinting around nearly as much. Zeraora, damage nerfs on Discharge and on the ult. Talonflame, cooldown buff on Aerial Ace. You're going to get Aerial Ace a little bit more often, but Fly is slower now. And I actually haven't noticed that in my games. I haven't seen a ton of Talonflames lately, so I'm kind of curious because Fly, it almost felt like, you know, once it was over you, that was just a death sentence, right? Like, you ever been in that situation where you're like, oh no, I only have a meager 40% HP, which this Fly will crush me and take it all away at once. So hopefully that's a little bit more avoidable now. Looking down the list at the rest of these changes, we have Snorlax. Like we said earlier, Snorlax learns every move 1 level earlier now. Block, some sort of bug fix happened with the block ability. Flail lasts a second longer now, so you're going to be running around at higher speeds for even longer. Gardevoir, as we mentioned, gets all of her abilities 1 second earlier, or 1 level earlier, and evolves 1 level earlier. Ooh, Garchomp actually had some crits taken away. Looks like that's kind of the trend right here. Garchomp used to be able to crit with Dragon Claw and Dragon Rush, and now those are both gone. Why do you think they did that? It was such a weird change.
Yeah, it that has an unpredictability. Like comboing that with the Crustle change here, it's not like you increased your. I mean, I guess if you were really paying attention, but you would often when jungling stealth rocks the pile and then start walking away anyway. If it got done faster, it didn't matter because you were already on your way out. So Garchomp would seem like he would have more interaction with those crits because he's in the melee performing them. I guess they thought he didn't need that random proc, but then compensated with the earlier levels for his evolutions and his moves.
Truly an interesting decision. Looking through, and I believe, like we mentioned earlier, Garchomp is also one of the 3 characters in this most recent patch to evolve a level earlier, and also gets all of their move upgrades 1 level earlier as well. We're talking about Mamoswine. I think it's actually 3rd or 4th character that evolves earlier. 1 level evolution earlier, moves all 1 level earlier, and high horsepower is actually quicker. Which one is that, Kiyeberries? The high horsepower?
The one that I don't take. I never take high horsepower. Isn't that the one where he flips them? It's the Garrosh toss.
I will tell you right here. The user rushes recklessly in the designated direction, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon it hits and shoving them. The user then stomps its feet, dealing damage to opposing Pokemon in the area of effect and leaving them unable to act for a short time.
Oh,
so
no,
it's
just
the
a stun.
dash. Yeah,
Yeah.
you dash through and you kind of stomp at the end of it, and that one is quicker now. Okay. Then I'm looking through if I could find my tab that had the patch notes. There we go. A bunch of minor bug fixes to various characters, and then I'm looking, and right at the end of the patch notes is actually some of the biggest changes from this entire thing.
This is like throw it at the end; it doesn't matter. And 0 spacing, so heal on score has been reduced from 25% max HP to 10% max HP.
And this one I have noticed, because there were times where you would just be playing super aggro and you're like right up in the enemy's face and you're like, oh, you may think you have this duel on me. I'm going to turn in a single point and all of a sudden get a quarter of my health back. And then I'm going to go pick up another point right here and I'm going to turn that in and all of a sudden I've got way more HP that you bargained for. The fact that that would go from previously a 50% max HP heal to now a 20%, that just means that the ability for enemy players to just play bully ball with you and to just camp your turn-ins, ignoring your input, is way less of a thing now. And I definitely have noticed this one in my games. It is so much harder for someone playing a Lucario or something similar to just camp you on your turn-in with impunity. It works much less now.
That was the first Pokemon I thought of when reading that too. Just just Lucario's name in all caps. Like this is directed directly at Lucario in the early game, bullying your lane, fighting right on your point, turning in small amounts. You can never kill him. Ha ha ha. Probably will still feel that way, but maybe slightly, maybe less.
The Cotton Puff players will still get bullied.
Right, yeah, no, I still feel like I'm still going to feel infinitely frustrated by enemy Lucarios, but maybe he'll be like more towards killable at least.
Well, they're building a bit of a storyline here because then they went through and upped the passive healing of the middle goal and the base goal. And the value on the shields increased as well. So your most forward goal that Lucario would be interacting with is unchanged. But I know on high health characters, because this is a value, not a percent, it is often better to take your Blastoise and what have you back to the middle goal to heal faster to get on the battlefield. Again, of course, you're leaving things exposed and stuff like that. So tactical decision, but something I would do.
Absolutely. And now it's even better of a decision in many circumstances to walk past your tier 1 tower and go all the way back to your tier 2 to heal up, like you were saying. That's going to be the better idea in even more situations now, with it healing you even more than it does before.
Amount of energy dropped on death. They said death? Oh my goodness. Adjusted.
Oh, wow.
KO, on KO.
You can't say death in a Pokemon game. Oh my god.
I'm gonna see if this
Nobody
is just
dies.
if this is Unite DB added or if they actually on the official
They
notes.
actually say death.
Oh my goodness. Which is nebulous, but also the berries now vanish post 5 minutes regardless of the outer goals. Is that I'm not familiar if they do anything at 5 minutes normally.
Well, citrus berries were relatively less healing as the game went on because they were just a flat amount of healing. So when your HP bar increases more and more, of course, that's going to be a proportionally smaller amount of your health bar. But they definitely did matter. So it used to be that, you could have your citrus berries there to help you secure the Dreadnought and help you secure the Rotom. But now, starting with that second Rotom, the second side boss spawns, you're not going to have those citrus berries to help you out, even if you still have your tier 1 goal available in that same lane. So that actually does have ramifications on securing those bosses in the side lanes.
Okay, so previously they stayed even if you had the forward goal post 5 minutes, which is sometimes a rarity.
Yes. Yeah, so you would have citrus berries behind those tier 1 goals until they got destroyed. They would keep spawning. Now, once that halfway mark in the match is reached, nope, no more berries, regardless of where you have your goal zones.
Master's rank rating adjusted so that it can be increased more easily?
Whoa! That's good for us.
What does that mean?
Well, before, if you had a 50% win rate, you would lose ranking in Master. You had to have above a 50% even as soon as you got into Master. So I almost want to take a look at what that's going to be like now.
So this is I can now report that Unite DB was the one that used the word death. It was knocked out in the official notes.
Yeah, I was gonna say they would never.
However, that also means our official notes said the middle goal, recovery strengthened. Middle goal, shield effect strengthened. So now we actually have some values for those two.
Yeah, well, I do love that.
Less specific.
So we're taking a dark risk using Unite DB. However, it is more detailed. Disturbingly detailed, perhaps.
For sure. And then there's just one more change in here, the very last thing in the patch notes, which is that the ranked match performance point system has been adjusted. So you can now prevent losing points by using your performance points. So I actually haven't been playing too much ranked recently. I've had a very tumultuous period in my personal life, home repairs. I'm in a hotel right now, all of that. So I haven't been able to play a lot of ranked. I haven't noticed this, but it sounds like performance points are available even if you're in Master now. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either because I'm also not in Master right now. But
oh no,
yeah, that was a joke I had going on my stream about how once you hit Master, you lose your PP, right? Because that's what performance points. That's your PP. That's performance points. So once you hit Master, no more PP. But now it sounds like you get your PP back.
Yes.
Don't make a face like that. Pokemon has a long history with PP.
Yep. Nope. I remember being a little 6-year-old and being like, "Oh no, out of PP."
There's literally an item called PP up. There's an item called PP up. I don't know what you want from me.
I'm happy that Unite is continuing the universal trend that every child experienced while playing Pokemon as a kid and making
never came up.
What?
But I know I didn't notice trees. I don't think about these things. What I was
you didn't notice PP?
No, I didn't. What I was more
You're
interested.
telling me child you saw, oh dang, I'm out of PP and didn't even make one crass joke.
It was a what do you call it? Not hyphen.
You saw this item, which is, by the way, a jar of pills called PP up, and you were just like, seems good. Like,
Okay, to be fair, a child would have no connotation of a jar of pills. They wouldn't be like, of course, a jar of pills that do that thing. No, they wouldn't know that.
I just always thought PP Up was hilarious. Like, what?
I just assumed it meant something else, like PowerPoints, or I just was.
I mean, yeah, it does. That is what it means, but it does mean PowerPoints in the main series games, but still, you can't be like a kid and see PP Up and go.
No, never. In fact, what I was more
God.
alarmed by was the idea that the Pokemon was on the ground, knocked out, and you would walk up with a spray bottle like you were punishing a cat or something. You're like, psst, psst, it's okay, buddy. Psst, psst. That's how you healed them, because the pictures are often little spray bottles. Those are the things that concerned me.
We played a whole different game, honestly, you and I.
None of it makes any sense, right? Like, it's just like, hey, show your Pokemon this DVD, and then it'll know how to shoot lasers out of its mouth. Also, the DVD is a one-time thing, right? Like, it plays once, and then it just crumbles in the player.
Well, they have to eat the DVD, obviously.
Oh yeah, you just say catch, and you just toss it into the Pikachu's mouth, and it just has to hork down a CD. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
You gotta not think about it too much, because then if you're spraying animals, you're forcing them pills. Like, all these things are things that animals hate, and you shouldn't do to them. So, but for the battle, like, let's just not think about it too much. Let's not think about it too much.
I think that's part of the charm of Pokemon, is that near universally, throughout every aspect of the Pokemon universe, almost nothing holds up to even the most slight of scrutiny. We talked about it before. It's like, you're telling me this ghost balloon drags off naughty children? You're telling me that this thing needs to keep hopping forever or it dies?
I was thinking when you break into the Team Rocket hideout and it's like a series of conveyor belts going in different directions that you have. That's like their warehouse, and somebody was like, I don't need productivity. You know what's going to be sick? A maze made of moving conveyor belts. No one will ever.
We want where we do all of our logistics to be as confusing as possible.
There's a tower dedicated to dead Pokemon. There's the dangers of gambling being continually told to you outside of the various houses where you try to win. Was it Polygon back in the day? Yeah. There's cautionary tales and tales that just aren't given too much thought. So you know what?
Yeah, and that's the charm of Pokemon, though. Is that they have all this stuff that it's like, just don't think about it too much. And the effect of having that at every level throughout everything is a sort of induced suspension of disbelief. If you are over time taught, don't question it, then you buy into the universe. You are immersed into it by virtue of learning that you just shouldn't press anything too hard. I'm telling you, it's genius when you take it from a macro perspective. It gets you to buy in.
All right. Well, those were our surprise patch notes for me anyway. Let's get to an email before we end. Mochrie, you had an email picked out here. Should we take one from Mo Money Mo Momos?
Sure. And so this, I want to be clear. Mo Money Mo Momos did not, in fact, submit this as a question, but rather asked me, and they said, Mochrie, I've been wondering this for a few weeks now. And could you tell me? And I said, oh, wow, that's great, Mo Money Momos. If only I had a weekly show for the past several weeks where you could officially submit questions. And so we'll go over that here. I'm just giving him a hard time. But Mo Money Mo Momos, which I love to say, asked me, they said, I know that sometimes when I'm playing on the quick match map Shiver City, sometimes my turn-ins are instant. And I don't know why, and I don't know when. And I said, okay, sure. So in Shiver City, if you will look just above your point total in these quick match games, you will see a bar that slowly fills up. It's almost a little semicircle, just a little bit less. a bar that slowly fills up, and whenever that bar is full, you will get an instant turn-in, an instant score. And now, there's actually a couple really important things to know about that, because I bet a lot of our viewers or listeners were like, I already knew that right there. But what's important to know about that bar that I didn't realize right away are two big things. So first, say that bar is just about to finish, and you decide, I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to turn in right before it finishes. What I found out is that if you are scoring and the bar finishes while you are scoring to give you an instant turn in, and then you score anyway, it actually uses it all up, even though you didn't get an instant score. Does that make sense?
Oh.
So you'll have you'll have a full instant turn-in bar, and say it's at like 99%, right? And you start doing a turn-in, and it completes during the turn-in. It doesn't give you an instant turn-in, but you still use up the whole thing. So you might actually be incentivized to just wait a little bit and let it finish up in that situation. And then also simultaneously, it does trickle up over time and giving you more instant turn-ins very slowly as it progresses. But also, you get huge chunks in that instant turn-in bar in Shiver City whenever you take down an enemy player. So it's very important in Shiver City, a big part of winning that map, outside of just snowballing ridiculously hard, because I think the map design is very one-sided in that map. Outside of just snowballing, Shiver City, a lot of it is weaving in turn-ins in the enemy score zone in between your takedowns of the enemy characters, which are fueling those instant turn-ins. And again, you can view your progress on those instant turn-ins by looking at the bar just above your points in the bottom middle of your screen. And that's how that works.
And important, I saw a bar. I had no idea what it meant, but that effect is still going in the holiday event now. So this was actually really topical and perfectly asked on this week. Yeah. Well done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Momoni Momos.
Momomo.
Well, that will complete it for today's show. As I mentioned, we have quite the mailbag, and we'll be getting to that next week. So thank you, everybody who sent over their questions already, and keep them coming to aeosclubhouse@gmail.com, as well as in that Discord channel. You can find a link to the show's Discord on the Twitter is probably the easiest place just to click that. Of course, you can search for Aeos Clubhouse on Discord as well. Join us, won't you? Everything about the show can be found at kyleferguson.com.
How many S's in Ferguson, Kyle?
There are 2 S's in the Kyle Ferguson of kyleferguson.com, where you can find the RSS feed as well as other information about that show. Of course, please join us over on the Patreon at patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. It is an unparalleled way to support this show, and we appreciate everyone who's already done it, and we'd love to see you in the new year and throughout the holidays as well. Come join us, patreon.com/Aeos Clubhouse. Kiyeberries, where can the internet find you?
You can find me everywhere at Kiyeberries, Kiye, Berries, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere on the internet. The branding is there. And then I just wanted to give a quick shout out to you, Kyle, and your delightful CCL halftime interviews.
Oh.
I don't know if we've ever mentioned them on this show before, but they were particularly enjoyed last week. So just, you're good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's the Heroes Hearts CCL for Here's the Storm, where I do the halftime interviews. They were really fun, and there were some hot takes on there as well this week. Those were really enjoyable.
Yes, there were. They were spicy. All right, over to Mochrie.
Yeah, both my colleagues, they do great work with Heroes Hearts CCL, and I'm here. I'm around. Regardless, you can find me at Mochrie TV, Mochrie TV, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Those are the big ones.
We've already done the everything about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I said where you could find me. You guys are just staring at me. I don't know.
I was recovering from the fact that I already did the rundown for the show, so it's time for my personal stuff. You can find me at Twitter at Kyle Ferguson, but you should check out
2 S's.
You should check out youtube.com/amovetv for grinding gear. That is the changed name, and the final update that we're doing to the Final Fantasy content, which I'm making over on YouTube with lots of video editing and stuff like that. So it's for YouTube and stuff. Check it out. Other than that, you'll have an awesome week. in Pokemon Unite. We'll see you next week. We won't see you the week after that because of holidays, but we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Max wanted to be in the whole recording. He's been here like the whole show, just